Hi, and welcome back to the Cloudy Desk. If you were here for my first video, thank you so much for coming back. And if not, thank you for joining me on my YouTube adventure. Um, so today, as we are sort of getting more towards the end of the year and also sort of end of the year sales, I just really wanted to spend some time thinking about sort of what things that I acquired this year that I got the most enjoyment out of, especially thinking towards next year of just sort of what lessons can I take away from it for how I want to better invest both my time and my money into sort of the things I'm getting. Um, yeah. So we're going to be looking at my favorite acquisitions of this year and then just sort of thinking about any trends that I can see from that, because I try to be very careful about avoiding buying things just because of like a hype around something and sort of really thinking about how am I going to use an item, how's it going to fit into sort of my routine before I purchase something, and making sure that I have a use for something before I spend money on it. Let's get started. Okay, so the first category I want to talk about is cases, so both pen cases and other types of cases. First, let's look at this is another Leehit Lab case. I know I spent my entire last episode looking at the A5 bag, but this is a newer acquisition that I made this year. You can see similar color. I do like green is my favorite color. But this is the Leehit Lab, I guess Smart Fit is what the tag says, but I think it's something like, it was like their slim case. And so I got this because I was sort of really looking at the Superior Labor tool pouch, sort of that leather pouch that has the flap that comes down, and just really couldn't justify spending that kind of money on something that I didn't know if I would actually like or use. And so when I was doing some research for something else, I found this, and this really, I could see how I would use this. So this is what I did. So let's open it up. So I like, it sits totally flat, which is really nice. And I use this as my travel art kit. So I have, there's sort of these two mesh pockets on the left. In the smaller one, I have an eraser as well as a little tiny lead sharpener. So those just live here. And then in the bigger pocket, I have my travel and sketch watercolor palette, the Traveler's Company Art Toolkit collaboration. I really love this. I have used it a couple times on the go. You know, it's fun as you can use a clip, either the Traveler's Company clip or another clip, to clip it to your notebook, and it lies so flat and it makes it really easy to paint on the go. I also use it to paint at home because it's so much easier than taking out an entire palette. So I have that. I have a piece of a cut up reusable paper towel. I stole this idea from Job in Job's journal. I thought it was really smart. So I had bought a couple of these for the kitchen, and I just cut one down, and it tucks so nicely in there. And then I also have a little clear ruler. Keep on that side. Just putting all that away. And then on the right is where I keep all my travel art supplies. So I have this Kuretake brush pen. What I really like about it is it has a reusable cartridge in it. So I keep this filled with platinum carbon black, so that way I can do watercolor on top. I used to keep my Traveler's brass fountain pen in here as my travel art pen, but I've decided I really like using that, so I've switched it to my everyday pen case, and instead this Coeco, I think it's dark olive, the special edition I have in here. I have it inked up with, it's one of the brown document inks from De Atramentis, and again, that's so I can do watercolor on top. Once it's finished, I might switch it back to black, but I don't know. I also have one of the Sailor Fude pens, so that's the bent nib. Again, platinum carbon black. And then I love these Oto mechanical pencils. I have a normal thin one, but this one is the 2.0 lead, so this is what goes with my sharpener that's here. I just like it for on the go sketching. I love how chunky it is. And then a Pentel water brush that I've had for ages. And so this all works really well. I think I have, in this small thing, I have an extra ink cartridge just in case, just tucked in there. And this works super well. And I think sort of, again, thinking about lessons learned is if I see something I really love, even if it's really expensive, just thinking like, what about the product is it that I like? And is that the thing, is that the only product that has those qualities? So what I liked about the TSL pouch was how I could sort of keep watercolors and other supplies all together, but I just didn't know if I wanted to spend that much on, I wasn't drawing a ton at the time, and I didn't want to sort of throw a lot of money at something I wasn't going to use, so I figured I could find a cheaper version that had those qualities that I can sort of use this for a year, see if I'm using it enough, and then I can decide if I want to upgrade it or just keep using this. The other case I'd like to talk about is my Galen Leather 3-pen zip case. I have it in the new Ocean Blue, which I really love. I did do a condition on it once, so it's not as scratched up as it was. I just like to condition my leather to make sure it's really water resistant, because I like to carry these around with me and I don't baby my products too much. I love the zipper. I don't know why, I just find it so satisfying. It's just such a good zipper. Yeah, and so I usually keep the 3 pens I'm using for a day, any given day here. The one thing I do want to find in the product page for this, they had a little card-sized notebook tucked in here on this side, but they're out of stock of it. But I would love to find some sort of little thin notepad I could keep on this left-hand side of the case, because it'd be nice to have something to jot down quick notes, or if I want to like give someone my email, I can just tear it off quickly, because otherwise I don't really know what to use this side for. I currently have just a photo of my family tucked in here, but otherwise, yeah. I mentioned my Traveler's brass pen. This is sort of an honorable mention actually for this year, because I don't know if you can see, it says RB here. It's because I originally had purchased the rollerball version. So an honorary mention for best purchase of the year is I replaced the nib, I put a fountain pen nib in this rollerball pen, and it's been great, and I use it so much more now that it is a fountain pen, and I've really enjoyed using it as like a daily carry. So it used to always be inked up in platinum carbon black, but now I think now I have just regular non-water resistant fountain pen ink, because this is the one I carry my traveler's passport with me everywhere. It's my everyday carry. It's always in my pocket, and so this is a pen I can just throw in my pocket if need be as well. Yeah, and so I think lessons learned from this is I've loved this so much, and I've been looking then at their other cases, but like their bigger ones, they have the like 5-zip and stuff. But I really like I think the 10 pen case I keep looking at But what I like about this is I can carry it around really easily and it protects my pens. And I'm not going to be carrying 10 fountain pens to work. I'm just not. 3 is a really good number because I can have a couple different colors, a couple different widths. I can use them for slightly different things. So just remembering that, like, what I like about this and why it's useful to me is how small it is. And the larger pen cases aren't that small. So I shouldn't be purchasing those because it won't fit sort of how I use my fountain pens. Because I have a different storage method. I don't think I would like this as my storage method at home. So I don't want one of those really big cases to keep because it's just not going to work for me in that sense. So, first category, pen cases. Category 2 is fountain pens, and so I already gave my honorary mention was buying the nib for the Traveler's brass pen to make it into a fountain pen. But my favorite pen purchase of this year is my ProGear Slim Dragon Palette, Sailor ProGear Slim Dragon Palace. It has medium fine nib. I love this pen. It is one of my absolute favorite pens. I pretty much carry it with me every single day. I really like how it writes. I really like how thin it is. I love the color. I know it's sort of marketed as a green pen. Sometimes it looks really blue. Sometimes it's greener. I like to think of it as like really like a jade color, and how jade can really shift depending on the light, depending on the actual stone itself. And I just love that. And I love the really, I don't know how well you can see, but the really tiny gold shimmer flecks in this pen. I have it here in my Fountain Pendulum pen rest, which I purchased recently, and I just haven't had long enough to say, to speak more about it. I mean, it's incredibly well made. I really recommend it. This is something you're looking for. I haven't used it enough to say whether or not it sort of fits in how I use my pens. But just in terms of lessons, thinking about my pen collection, I don't want so many pens that I can't use my favorites regularly. I'm sort of trying rotating my pens for my daily journaling, and I maybe like the idea of having like 7 or so. That way I sort of have one for each day of the week. And I try to rotate which 3 pens I bring to work, but like I always want to have this pen in this case, so then I only have 2 other slots for pens, and I always carry my Traveler's Company now, so there's really only 1 other pen on any given day. And so keeping that in mind of when purchasing a pen, it's like a new pen means I'll use some of my favorite pens less. And do I want to use this pen less? And so really being careful about what pens I'm bringing in 2024. I have a couple sort of wish list Grail pens. I don't know if Grail is really the right word, but a couple pens that I'm really thinking about. Maybe that'll be a separate video, but I do want to be really conscious of sort of what I'm using, because I have a couple pens I really, really love, and I don't want to use them less. And if I get more pens, I'll use each pen less. And that's not how I think about how I'm using my pens. So, category 2, my Sailor ProGear Slim Dragon Palace. And I guess my lesson is really thinking about if an additional pen, if I want that pen enough to not use the pens I currently have, I guess is how I'm framing that. So my category 3, I guess, is notebooks. I don't know, this is tricky. It's not really sort of a category, but I've been using a Passport TN for a couple years now, and I love it. It originally was just, I used the weekly insert as my primary work planner. But then some point this year I decided I want to use it for work and life planning. So I also threw in, I just used a notebook I had, which was a field notes. Here, I can show you. A field notes notebook where I've just sort of written in monthly spreads because I wanted to have that, but I decided a little late in the year to get one of the dated monthly inserts. Yeah, so I use this currently. I'm not going to be using it next year as my planner. That'll be, again, a future video. But I love this notebook. I've been carrying it for ages. I never thought, though, that I'd want a standard size TN until I started really getting into the stationery community, watching videos, and I just fell in love with all of things I was seeing from the sort of, I think this was the 2022 limited edition, the 4, it was hotel, airline, train, and records. And I just loved the hotel. I liked that it was the dark brown because I had the camel, so I didn't want another camel. And so I looked hard to try to find somewhere where I could buy one, because obviously I got this summer. It was no longer in sale in stores. I also love the little key charm that it comes with. Instead of using the suitcase, though, I do have my New York City subway token and little rat. These were on a necklace my mom gave me that I just don't wear that often. It's my subway rat and token. And I thought it would be fun to have in here. And I love this so much. And I have since purchased a second standard because I had so many inserts in it. And I was like, I need a second one. And next year, this is going to be my, like, carry with me notebook. Also my journal. When I finish my current journal, I'm going to be using this going forward. But I will do a future video really looking at how I'm going to be using these in the new year, because I'm changing a few things up. But I love this. I think I'm set on standard sized. I have 2 standards. I do have my eyes on another passport, but I have a very specific use case for when I would get that. And again, I can talk about that more when I'm sort of thinking forward to 2024. But I think what is my lesson learned from this? I'm not sure. I think when I was looking at these, I knew what I would use this for. I had an idea of how I would be fitting in a standard TN into my rotation, and that was, I wanted something that I could carry around and sketch in and draw in and doodle in, sort of distinct from my journal, but like sort of a journal. I have since sort of themed it a little more as like nature observations, but yeah, I wanted something a little bit bigger, but not like a formal sketchbook, because I don't love carrying a sketchbook around. So I had a use case. I had a product that I found and was thinking about for long enough, and then I found a place where I could order it, and I did it, and I love it. But also, I don't need another standard just yet. So I'm hoping I don't get another standard in 2024. We'll see. You can hold me accountable to that. Yeah, because again, I want to use the things I have, because I love this so much. And if I get another standard size cover, is this just going to sit at home unused? Because that makes me sad. I want this to be used. I love it. And so it's, again, thinking of, like, if I'm buying something new, is that going to take time away from the things that I have and do really enjoy using? Yeah, sort of weighing that side. Stamps, sort of not just specifically these, although these as well. One second. Thinking about the items I've enjoyed the most this year, my rubber and clear stamps are really high on the list, but like, I didn't have any stickers on the list. I didn't have any washi tape on the list. And I think that's reminding me that, like, I enjoy stamps because I can reuse them. I don't have to worry about, like, wasting something. which can happen with washi, or can happen with stickers. Washi, there's so much of it that it's not so much a fear of wasting. I just don't always know how to use it and how to make it look good. I feel like often when I use washi, it actually just clutters up something. So I think that's a big lesson for me in 2024 is like, I don't need to buy washi. I don't need to buy, I mean, I can buy stickers because I do use them. But if I'm thinking about like getting something special from somewhere, my stamps are what brings me so much joy. And it'd be much more worth it for me to buy a fun stamp from a place so I can remember that place or so I have it than to buy a sticker sheet or something like that. Specifically, I bought the New York clear stamps from Everyday Explorers Co. These are really fun. I live in New York City and I've been going on a lot of solo adventures and journaling about them. I try to do it at least once a month. And so I've been able to use a lot of these in that. They just really relate well to sort of both how I spend my time and how I journal. And so I'm using that also as a lesson of thinking about more stamps of like, well, now that I've been journaling more about different types of things, the topics or the types of things that I'm doing, and what can I get to augment that as opposed to just getting something because I like it. So this was really, I had been doing my New York adventures for a couple months, and I was like, oh yeah, I can absolutely see how I would use so many of these, and so I did it. There is one I probably will never use, and that's this Times Square one, but that's just me. Yeah. And additionally, I got this rubber date stamp off of Etsy. What I really loved about this one is it came with a stand, so I can just keep it on my desk, and I can use it for so many things. I use it for letters, I use it for journal entries, I use it for so much. And I love that I can just keep it right there, and it stands so cute. Yeah, and again, what I like about it, the stamps, is they're reusable. So like this is gonna last me, I think this goes to like 2033. No, 2034. So like I have many years I can use this. And yeah, it's making me also kind of want to get an alphabet stamp because I hate alphabet stickers. You get left with such odd letters and then you can't do anything with them. So I do think I want in 2024 to get a set of alphabet stamps. And it'll just be a matter of finding one I like the font of and stuff. And on this same vein, this is another one of the stamps that I carved. Really thinking about sort of what I was talking about of like, well, what am I journaling about? What can I get that will fit into the journals I'm already doing? And so one of the things that I like to journal about is I have a tarot notebook, and I do monthly spreads as well as some additional like one-off things throughout the month. And I had been really looking for some tarot stamps of like the different suits so that way I could use those, and I wasn't really finding anything that I liked. So instead what I decided to do, and I can show you it when I do my TN flip through at some point, but I made a frame stamp. So instead of using a stamp or a sticker of the cards, I stamp this, and it sort of makes a frame of a card, and then I can write or draw in what card it was that I pulled. And I like it because, and I was looking at like tarot stickers, it's like, well, once you use one of the stickers, what happens if you pull that card again? You don't have the sticker anymore, and I don't want to buy 10,000 sets of this stuff. So I liked it was reusable, it's flexible. I will be using this multiple times in a month. So it was like a great way for me to also make something that's like unique to me, and no one else will have this exact stamp, which makes me really happy. So I guess also the lesson from this is like thinking like often it feels like the answer to something is to make a new purchase, but like I'm a crafty person. I can make my own things, and sort of remembering that and thinking sort of what's in my control, what can I do that doesn't involve me having to spend more money on something. So again, like I showed in my first video, the mail decorating my own stationery sheets as opposed to buying tons of letter sets. And I still buy letter sets, but I also can just make my own. And so remembering that. And I have more of these rubber blocks, so one of the things I do want to do next year is make a couple more stamps, but I really have to think about sort of what would I use, what would be a nice addition to my collection of stamps. Yeah, and that's category 3. So thank you so much for joining me. This is my lessons from 2023 purchases. I think really the thing I take away from all of this is thinking about making sure that the things I purchase will fit into how I use my items, and that I value things that are flexible and reusable, that I do have a very specific use case for, rather than buying like really beautiful things that I love, but I don't know how they're going to fit into my life. I'm really trying going forward to being really conscious of how many things I purchase, so I really don't expect this channel to be any sort of haul videos. I love watching them, but I also find it makes me more likely to want to buy things that I don't need. So I personally am not going to be doing that type of thing. I might sometimes show new items or things like that, but I'm not going to be doing unboxings because I really want to spend 2024 thinking about how to reuse or take advantage of the things I do already own, and then just being really smart about how I fill in the gaps, because I think I do have a fairly good lineup. I don't need a lot of new things, but I have little ideas for what I can do, and then maybe that'll be a part 2 of sort of what I imagine some of my 2024 purchases will be. So thank you so much for coming again. I really appreciate you spending your time with me. But yeah, I'd love to know, drop in the comments sort of what have your favorite things from 2023 been, or what have you learned about your purchasing habits, and sort of what items have been successes and what haven't been, and sort of what you can take away from that for next year. So thank you so much. Thank you for joining me again at the Cloudy Desk. Have a great day. Bye.